よし、やってみましょう。チャレンジだよね、多分これ。なんだっけ、制限時間以内にパズルをいっぱい解くらしいです。ふう。いけるかな。クリア。クリア。うおー。なんだこの曲。次どこ？これか。違うな。よし、次。あれどっちだ？どっちのどれですか？うわーん。しまった、マジでわからない。秘宝。おじさんチャレンジ中に迷子になってしまう。何ここ？なんかある？どこだよ。これですか。ちょっとはいよ。次どれ？あれこれじゃない。どれ？これ？違う。これ。はい、どれ？ちょっとこれ言わないよね。どこやばい、パニクる。わっせ。どこじゃ？あった。次。よし。が。よし。あれか。そう。実は私、チャレンジ攻略をね、見たんですよ。さすがにね、初見のおじさんが下るのはちょっと、あれかなと思ってさ。これ3つとも全部解くの？それ。そんなことないの？うわ、なんだ？なんだこれ？ドラクエ5かよ。通れたけど。これ解くの？ あれ、なんか途中になんかあった？あったなんだよ。違う、違って、OK。他に解けそうなパズルがあるかって話ですよね、きっと。これじゃないな。あれ、これって1個だけでいいのかな？そんなことないよね。もう絶妙に焦らせてくるね。あれ違う。あれ、こうか。違うな。あれ、音楽終わっちゃったんだけど。あ、ダメでした。これいくつ解けばいいの？それが分かってないんだよね。まあこれは何回リトライすることになるかわからないですね。うげ。え、これ結構どぎつくない？じゃあこうってわけにもいかねえな。こうですね、じゃあ。ふう。近い近い近い。この移動時間がもったいないんだよな、絶妙に。で、どこでしたっけ？あったあった。よし、ここか。むむ。 ここまで穴だらけだと結構きついな。こうか。うん。コンペイトーだらけですね。はい。次どっち？よいしょ。よし。違うな。これ解けなさそうな気がする。よし。解ける問題何個あるんですかね、これ。あーっと。しまった。くそー。ゴゴゴゴゴゴ。うるうる。うわーん。これはひでえな。なんか大体の方角だけでも教えてもらえませんか？こっち問題あるらしいでみたいな。これ完全に迷った。出られへん。いや、出られたけど、そういう問題か？これアウトくせえな。これ失敗したらあれ問題出てくるの？これ出てこない可能性ありません？そこだけは一応把握しといた方がいい気がするんだけどな。はい。じゃあオチがついたところで、あと何十回やったらクリアできますかね、これ。そんな何十回もやってる時間的な余裕はないですけど。 違うな。はいはい途中まではすごい簡単なんだけどな。どこだっけ。よしと。これが解ける。どれが解けそうだこれ。なんかどれもきつい気がするんだけど。意外とこの辺がマシそうに見えちゃうんだけどな。違うのかなこれの見分け方見とくんだったなじゃあこの辺いやいやこれはさすがにどれだ。じゃあやったやったと言っていいのかな。あった。こらきついぞこうかよし解いたよ。これ他に問題が出てくるんだよね多分。あったあれ違うあった慎重にいかないと。違う。違うな。むむむ。 れは分からん。あれ、あ、なるほど。分かったから満足。あれ何問解けばいいんだろう。これいちいち戻すのめんどくさいな。があんまり斜めに過ぎるとダメだな。あれ、これどれがオンになるかってランダムか、もしかして。あら、やるやん。わっせ。よいしょ。これはすぐ見分けついてできんだけどな。違うな。どれだ。こうか。よしよしよしよしよし。でん。おー。どうも道順を覚える気がなくていい加減になっちゃうな。覚えた方がいいのこれ。これは簡単だよね、比較的。あと何問？あれ？どこだ？パズル1件。いや、これは こういうルートを通った方がいいんじゃないか。にもじゃあ隠すいたんだけど、次どれ？あれ？またでしょどうせ。あれなんだこれ。ちょっと待って、展開図どうなっていくかわかんないよ俺。さすがにそれはないでしょう。合ってた。そういう問題じゃねえな。あれ開いた。あれ ?OK。やったテイクいくつ目これ？ 4 回目？ 3 回目？どんくらい？まあいいや。多分4回目ぐらいで、はい、クリアしました。わーい。これ最後のシアターかな。ぐるっと回る。はい。じゃあ帰りましょう。このさ、円柱型のやつ、ほんとわけわかんないチャレンジのランダム問題だから多少簡単にしてくれたんだろうね。なんか割といい加減にやったけど、解けちゃったみたいなさ。なんか、そんな感じの。なんか手加減していただいたおかげでなんとかなりましたみたいな感じで。ちょっとあれなんだけどね。しかしあれだな。あらかじめ、あれ風車どっち？チャレンジの生き方、どこですかっていうのを調べたときにね、なんか解けない問題が出てくるから気をつけろよみたいなことをたまたま目にしてしまったんですけど、それを覚えてたおかげでなんとかなりましたね。さすがに攻略法知ってればねおじさんでもいけますよ、あのチャレンジ。知らなかったらめっちゃやばかっただろうな。相当ギリギリだったもんな、攻略法付きで。なんかこんな感じのやつ。これか。これだったんだ。じゃあ最後のシアターも出てきたってことで、シアター見て終わりにしましょう。
How many of you here have personally witnessed a
僕
total
ないっすね。
eclipse of the sun? To stand one day in the shadow of the moon is one of my humble goals in life. The closest I ever came was over 30 years ago. On February 26th, 1979, a solar eclipse passed directly over the city of Portland. I bought my bus tickets and found a place to stay, but in the end, I couldn't get the time off work. Well, anyone who lives in Portland can tell you that the chances of catching the sun in February are pretty
ポートラン
slim.
ド2月。
And sure enough, the skies
Ah,
over the
曇って
city
たんだ。
that day were completely overcast. I wouldn't have seen a
じゃあ
thing.
上空に行けば見れんじゃね？
That work I couldn't get out of was my first job out of college. A sales clerk at an old Radio Shack store in beautiful downtown Worcester, Massachusetts. On my very first day behind the counter, a delivery truck pulled up to the front of the store. They carried in a big carton, upon which was printed the legend TRS-80.
何それ？
It was our floor sample
Ah,
of the
hi, hi, hi,
world's
hi.
first mass-market microcomputer. The TRS-80 Model 1 had a Z80 processor clocked at 1.7 megahertz,
へえ。
4,096 bytes of memory, and a 64-character black and white text display.
うん
The only storage was a cassette recorder.
うん。
All this could be yours for
こ
the
の
low,
頃の
low price of $599. The store I was working in
え
had seen better days. At one time, it had been near the center of a thriving commercial district. But like so many other New England cities, the advent of shopping malls had, by the early 70s, turned it into a ghost
うん
town.
うん。まあそうなるよね。
Worcester's solution to this problem was decisive, to say the least. The city's elders apparently decided that if they couldn't beat them, they would join them. And so, several square blocks at the heart of the city were bulldozed into oblivion, destroying dozens
そう
of
なるよ
family
ね。
businesses, including the site of a pharmacy once
Ah.
operated by my great-grandfather.
薬
In
局
their
が
place was erected a vast three-level shopping complex.
薬局だけは残るみたいなこと割とありそう
When
だ
the
けどな。
dust settled, only a few forlorn blocks of the old Worcester remained standing. My Radio Shack store was in one of those blocks. Then, to add insult to injury, Radio Shack opened a brand new location inside the shopping center, less than 500 feet from my store. So now patrons had a choice between a
そりゃそうだ。
clean, well-lighted establishment with uniformed security and acres of convenient parking, or a shadowy hole in a seedy old office building next to an adult movie theater. Consequently, I had plenty of time to fool around with the new computer. I taught myself basic programming. Then I learned Z80 assembly.
うんうん。
Both, of course, so that I could write games. I also created self-running animated demos, which ran all night in the store window for the edification of the winos who peed in our doorway. Strangely enough, the few customers we had didn't seem to be interested in our new computer, even after the 16K memory upgrade. In fact, most of the people who set off the buzzer on their way through the front door weren't there to buy anything at all. They were there to exploit a free promotion, which was the bane of Radio Shack employees for over 40 years. The battery of the
40年以上も。
The idea of this promotion was simple. Customers got a little red card upon which was printed a square for each month.
うん。
12 times a year, the lucky sales clerk got to punch out a square and give the customer one brand new AAA, AA, C, D, or 9-volt battery. Of course, customers weren't allowed to choose just
単
any
な
brand
ん
of
とかって
battery.
いう言い方、英語だと
At the
違うん
time
で
of
す
my
ね。
employment, Radio Shack offered 3 different levels of battery excellence.
うん。
First were the alkalines, powerful, long-lasting, and expensive, hanging behind the counter like prescription medication in gold-embossed blister packs. These were most certainly not available through the Battery of the Month Club. Next were the high-end lead batteries, sturdy, dependable batteries, moderately priced, and prominently displayed near the front of the store. These were also not available through the Battery of the
やっ
Month
ぱり
Club.
渡さないんだ。
Finally, at the bottom of the barrel were the standard lead batteries. these were literally piled in barrels, cunningly located way at the back of the store, in a dark corner near the TV antennas. Remember TV antennas? Customers who came in looking for their free battery of the month
死後かもし
had
れ
to
ない。
walk the entire length of the premises, past
今ケーブルテレ
CD
ビばっかり
radios
か。
and stereo headphones and remote-controlled racing cars. Nothing would stop them. On the first day of every month, like clockwork, those customers came in waving their little red cards. I would look up from my programming and wave them to the back of the store. It didn't matter that the batteries were only worth 29 cents. It didn't matter that most of them were already half dead. They came, they grabbed. And as far as I can remember, not one of them ever paid for a damn thing. I was such a crappy salesman. I was young and foolish. I thought my education in game design was happening at the keyboard. I almost missed the lesson.
見逃すところだった。
Fortunately, I wasn't the only person fooling around with games on micros. All over the country, people like me were experimenting. Scott Adams was coding what would soon become the world's first commercial adventure game. Remember adventure games? My future employer, Infocom, was being founded, along with other legendary companies like Online Systems, Sirius, Personal Software, and SSI. Those were exciting times. Teams were making fortunes. Games were cheap and easy to build. The slate.
おじさんも話に聞いたことしかありませんが、
But in
その辺の活気のある話は割と面白い
the
ですよ
biggest
ね。
news in gaming had nothing to do with computers. On the morning of the autumn equinox, September 20th, a new children's picture book appeared in the stores of Great Britain. This picture book was rather peculiar. It consisted of 15 meticulously detailed color paintings, illustrating a slight whimsical tale about a rabbit delivering a jewel to the moon. On the back jacket of the book was a color photograph of a real jewel, shaped like a running rabbit, 5 inches long, fashioned of 18-karat gold, suspended with ornaments and bells, together with a sun and moon of blue quartz. According to the blurb underneath, this very jewel had been buried somewhere in England. Clues pointing to its location were concealed in the text and in the pictures of the book. The treasure would belong to whoever found it first. The book was called Masquerade. It was created by an eccentric little man with divergent eyes and a talent for mischief named Kit Williams. Within days, the first printing was sold out, and the empire that never sleeps found itself in the grip of rabbit
イ
thieves.
ギリスなんだ。
Excited readers attacked the paintings with rulers, compasses, and protractors. Magazine articles and TV specials dissected the clues, floated theories, and followed with keen delight the reckless exploits of the fanatics. One obscure park, unfortunately known by the nickname Rabbit Hill, was so riddled with holes excavated by misguided treasure seekers that the authorities had to erect signs assuring the public that no gold rabbits were to be found there. Some hunters ended up seeking psychological counseling for their obsession. The craze leapt over the Atlantic Ocean and invaded America, France, Italy, and Germany.
みんなでわざわざイギ
It
リス来た
sold
の。
over 1 million copies in a few months,
ああ、なるほど
a
ね。
record unrivaled by any children's title until the advent of Harry Potter. Over 150,000 copies were sold in foreign translations, including 80,000 copies in Japanese, despite the fact that the puzzle was only
そりゃそうだよ
solvable
な。
in English. It didn't matter that the masquerade jewel was only worth a few $1,000s. Many seekers spent far more than that in their months of exploration and travel. It was the thrill of the chase, the possibility of being the one. Treasure hunts, secret messages, and hidden things. seem to exert an irresistible appeal. They're fun to look for and to talk about. And this fact of human psychology
あ
has been
あ、ようやくコン
exploited
ピュ
in
ーターの
computer
話に戻ってき
games
ましたね。
since the earliest days. It finds expression in the hidden
ああ、
surprises we call Easter eggs.
だよね。わかるわかる。
Atari's Stephen Wright is credited with coining this term in the first issue of Electronic Games magazine. The first Easter egg in a commercial computer game appeared in
な
an
んとも
early
シンプル。
Atari 2600 cartridge called, simply enough, Adventure. By a sequence of unlikely movements and obscure manipulations, players could discover a secret room where the words "created by Warren Robinette" appeared in flashing letters. Over the decades, Easter eggs and their evil twin, cheat codes, have become an industry within an industry.
いやでもイースターエッグに夢
Entire
中になる気持ちはわか
magazines
るよ。
and websites are now devoted to their carefully orchestrated discovery and dissemination. They're part of our toolkit, our basic vocabulary, the language of computer game design. Computer gamers may have been the first to refer to hidden surprises as Easter eggs.
何年前か
but
な
certainly
20年
weren't
ぐらい
the
前。
first to use
あ
them.
の、
Painters, composers,
ホーム
and
ページを
artists
さ
of every discipline
作
have
っ
been
てさ、
hiding
隠
stuff in
し
their
ページと
works
かいう
for
やつをさ、
centuries.
作ったりとか
The
しません
recent
でした。
advent of VCRs and laserdisc players with freeze frame capability exposed decades of secret Disney erotica.
へえ、
Thomas Kincaid, the self-appointed painter of light, amuses himself by hiding the letter N in his works. A number beside his signature indicates how many N's are hidden in each painting. Picasso, Dali, Raphael, Poussin,
Hey.
and dozens of other painters concealed all kinds of stuff in their paintings. A favorite trick was hiding portraits of themselves, their families, friends, and fellow artists in crowd scenes. El Greco loved dogs, but the Catholic Church forbid him from including any in his sacred paintings. So he hid them, usually within the outlines of celestial clouds. Composer Dmitry Shostakovich chafed under the political censorship imposed by the Soviet Ministry of Culture. His symphonies and chamber works are loaded with hidden signatures and subversive subtexts, which, had they been recognized, would have sent him to Siberia. Mozart's opera, The Magic Flute, is filled with musical allusions to the rituals of the Freemasons, the
Hey.
ancient secret society of which he and his mentor Haydn were members. But the most famous purveyor of Easter eggs is that champion of the late Baroque, the ultimate musical
そうなんだ。
nerd, Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach was a student of gematria, the art of assigning numeric values to letters of the alphabet. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, etc. By comparing, sequencing, or otherwise manipulating these numbers, secret messages can be concealed. Bach took particular delight in the geometrical numbers 14 and 41. 14 is the sum of the initials of his last name. B equals 2,
なるほど。
A equals 1, C equals 3, and H equals 8. 41 is the sum
なるほ
of
ど
his
ね。
expanded initials, J.S. Bach. These two numbers show up over and over again in Bach's compositions. One of the better-known examples is his setting of the chorale Vor deinem Thron. The first line of the melody contains exactly 14 notes, and the entire melody, from start to finish, contains 41. Another of Bach's favorite games was the puzzle canon.
パズルかな
A canon is a melody that sounds good when you play it on top of itself, a little bit out of sync. Frere Jacques and Row, Row, Row Your Boat are familiar examples of simple two-voice canons. But a canon can employ any number of voices. And you don't have to
これは和
play each
訳した
voice
時
the
にへん
same
てこに
way
なってしまっ
either.
たやつですか
You can change the octave, transpose the key, invert the pitch, play it backwards, or any combination. Finding melodies that make good multi-voice canons is a fussy and difficult art, of which Bach was an undisputed master. Now, in a puzzle canon, The composer specifies the basic melody and the number of voices, but not the relationship of the voices. The student has to figure out the position and key of each voice, and whether to perform them inverted and or backwards. Bach wrote quite a number of puzzle canons. The most famous, BWV 1076, is part of a fascinating story. One of Bach's students was a fellow by the name of Lorenz Misler, founder of the Society of Musical Science. This elite, invitation-only institution devoted itself to the study of Pythagorean philosophy and the union of music and mathematics. Its distinguished membership reads like a who's who of German composers,
モーツァルトドイツに含める。オーストリアから抗議来ない。
Applicants for membership in the society were required to submit an oil portrait of themselves, along with a specimen of original music. With nerdly efficiency, society member number 14 decided to combine these admission requirements into a single work. He sat for a portrait with Elias Hausmann, official artist at the court of Dresden. This portrait, which now hangs in the gallery of the town hall in Leipzig, is the only indisputably authentic image of Bach.
ってことは音楽の教科書とかに載ってるあれとかは、いや待てよ。
The Hausmann portrait shows Bach dressed in a formal coat with exactly 14 buttons.
さすがに違うか。
In his hand is a sheet of music paper, upon which is written a puzzle canon for 6 simultaneous voices. In 1974, a manuscript was discovered which proved that this canon was the 13th in a series of exactly 14 canons based on the ground theme of the famous Goldberg variations. As if these musical gymnastics weren't enough, Bach liked to hide messages in his compositions by assigning notes to the letters. His initials, B-A-C-H, correspond to the pitch sequence B flat, A, C, and B natural in German letter notation. This theme makes its most memorable appearance in the last bars of his final composition, The Art of Fugue, published soon after his death in 1750. The word fugue comes from the Latin fuga, which means flight, as in running away. So, the art of fugue is the art of flight, the art of taking a theme and running with it. Bach wrote hundreds of fugues, but none as sublime as this sequence of 14. In the last and most complicated fugue in the series, the first and second sections develop normally. This is followed by the B-A-C-H signature, and then suddenly, without any warning or structural justification, the fugue stops, dead in its tracks. One of the composer's 20 children, his son Carl Philipp Emanuel, claimed that Bach died moments after those last few notes were written. This story is probably apocryphal. The Easter eggs in Bach's music are a pleasant obscurity, known chiefly to professors and students of Baroque music.
いきなり音楽のそこそこ突っ込んだ話になったからちょっと。
Those Easter eggs were the talk of the entire classical music industry. Sitting near the top of the classical music charts that month was a compact disc on the ECM label called Morimer. It was performed by the Hilliard Choral Ensemble, together with a talented but, until then, little-known violinist, Christoph Poppen. The music on Morimer is based on a geometriacal analysis of Bach's Partita in D minor for solo violin. This analysis, by German professor Helga Thon, assigns numeric values to the duration of notes, the number of bars, and the German letter notation of the partita. In doing so, she claims to have discovered the complete text of several liturgical ceremonies encoded in the notes. The CD presented these hidden texts superimposed over the original music. The result was strangely melancholy, dark, haunting, and very, very popular. Quite a few music critics attacked this disc. They didn't buy Professor Thon's analysis, dismissing it as a combination of numerology and canny marketing. their caution was not without basis. Numerology is a slippery slope down which many a fine mind has slid to its doom. Allow me to offer an amusing anecdote from my own experience. Back in the early 90s, before the internet took off, one of the more popular online bulletin board systems was a service called Prodigy. I bought an account on Prodigy so I could join a fraternal interest group and gossip with fellow members around the country. One day, a stranger appeared on our bulletin board. Right away, I knew we were in trouble. This fellow, whose name was Gary, began spouting all kinds of apocalyptic nonsense about worldwide conspiracies, secret societies, and devil worship. At first, we tried to be polite. We questioned his sources, corrected his histories, logically refuted his claims, and tried to behave in a civilized manner. But instead of soothing him, our attention only made him worse. His conspiratorial warnings became urgent, approaching hysteria. He began to threaten people who disagreed with him. To coin a phrase, Gary went all uppercase. But his most urgent warnings weren't about the gays, the Jews, the Rockefellers, or the Illuminati. According to Gary, the greatest enemy of mankind was Santa Claus. Gary claimed to possess a secret numerical formula that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Santa Claus was an avatar of the Antichrist. Intrigued, we pressed Gary to reveal his formula. In doing so, we walked right into his trap. We should have known he had a book to sell. I fell for it. I sent him the $15. Less than a week later, the book arrived. Above an ominous photograph of the Washington Monument was emblazoned the title, 666, The Final Warning. Inside this privately printed 494-page monster, Gary reveals a simple geometrical formula, which he claims was developed by the ancient Sumerians. This formula assigns successive products of 6 to each letter of the alphabet. A equals 6, B equals 12, C equals 18, etc. Imagine my dismay when I applied this ancient formula to the name Santa Claus and obtained the blasphemous sum of 666, the biblical number of the beast. I went on Prodigy and reported to the stunned members of our interest group that Gary was right after all. There could be no doubt that according to the unimpeachable wisdom of ancient Samaria, Santa Claus was the Antichrist. I then went on to point out several other names which, when submitted to Gary's formula, also produced the sum
111だったらいいんでしょう。
Names like St. James, New York, and New Mexico. Soon the bulletin board was filled with discoveries like computer, Boston tea, and most sinister of all, sing karaoke. Gary left us alone after that. I got my $15 worth. But Gary was hardly the first person to connect secret codes to the Bible. People have been looking for Easter eggs in the Bible for hundreds of years. The Hebrew tradition of Kabbalah can be described as a geometrical meditation on the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. The advent of computers has made the application of numerology to the Bible fast and efficient. The latest spate of Bible searching was instigated by a book published in 1998 by Michael Drosnin, a former Wall Street Journal reporter.
これがあるから急いで解いたんだけどね、このゲーム。
The Bible code applied a skip cipher in which every nth character in a text is combined to form a message. By applying his skip cipher to the Hebrew text of the Old Testament, Drosnin claimed to have discovered predictions of World War II, the Holocaust, Hiroshima, the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin and both Kennedys, the moon landing, Watergate, the Oklahoma City bombing, the election of Bill Clinton, the death of Princess Di, and the comet that collided with Jupiter. He also found predictions of a giant earthquake in LA, a meteor hitting the Earth, and nuclear Armageddon, all scheduled to occur before the end of the
核
last
兵器による
decade.
大戦はまだ勃発してな
The
いけ
Bible
ど、
Code spent many weeks on the bestseller
ロ
list,
サンゼルスで地
spawning
震、
several
地震は
sequels
起きてない
and
か。
dozens of imitators. The Bible has certainly attracted its share of crackpots, but for the real hardcore egg hunters, nothing can rival the ingenuity, the tenacious scholarship, the stubborn zeal of those who seek the
エ
answer
ッグハンタ
to
ー
the
ね。
ultimate literary puzzle. A poisonous conundrum that has squandered fortunes, destroyed careers, and driven healthy, intelligent scholars to the brink of madness and beyond. Who wrote Shakespeare?
そうなんだ。
The essays and books devoted to the Shakespeare authorship problem are sufficient to
そ
fill
んなんあ
a
るのしかし。
large library. Several such libraries actually exist. Not even a day-long tutorial, much less an hour lecture,
軽くお
can
腹い
begin
っ
to
ぱ
do
い。
justice to this complex, bizarre, and dangerously tantalizing story. Nevertheless, for the
知らない
unacquainted,
です。
I will attempt to
しかし
summarize
この
the issue in a
こ
few
のシアター
paragraphs.
30分ぐらいもついてない？
The undisputed facts of Shakespeare's life and career could be scribbled on the back of a cocktail napkin. We know for a fact that a man named William
知らない
Shakespeare
です。
was born in 1564 in or around
シェ
the
イクス
village
ピア
of
が常識なのは
Stratford
英語
upon
圏だけだ
Avon.
ろ
We know that he had a
う。
wife
英語圏って言っ
and
ていい
at
のかどう
least
かわかんない
3
な。
children. We know he bought property in Stratford, was
ヨーロ
involved
ッ
in
パ圏。
several lawsuits with his neighbors, and died there in 1616,
ちょいちょい。
aged 52. We also know that during those same years, a man with a last name similar to Shakespeare worked as an actor on the London stage, eventually becoming co-owner of some of the theaters there. We also know that about the same time, a number of most excellent poems and plays were published in London under the name Shakespeare. We do not know for a fact that the landowner in Stratford and the actor in London with a similar last name
ああ、そういうこ
were
とね。
one and the same man. We do not know for a fact that either man had anything to do with the poems and the plays. All we know is that those poems and plays have, in the 400 years since their composition, come to be regarded as a pinnacle of Western culture. The works attributed to Shakespeare appear to have been written by a man or woman who knew something about just about everything. They're filled with references to mythology and classic literature, games and sports, war and weapons of war, ships and sailing, the law and legal terminology, court etiquette, statesmanship, horticulture, music, astronomy, medicine, falconry, and, of course, theater. Therein lies the problem.
和訳と英語でなんか語順がめちゃくちゃ違うからちょっと読みづらい。
From a mostly illiterate country village, a man of practically no account at all wields such encyclopedic learning, with so much eloquence and wit, so much wisdom and human understanding. For the first 150 years, nobody questioned the traditional history of the bard. Then, in the late 18th century, Reverend James Wilmot, a distinguished scholar who lived just a few miles north of Stratford, decided to write a biography of the famous playwright. Dr. Wilmot believed that a man as well educated as Shakespeare must have owned a fairly extensive library, despite the fact that not a single book or manuscript is mentioned in his will. Over the years, he speculated, some of those books must have found their way into local collections. And so, the good Reverend Doctor scoured the British countryside, taking inventory of literally every bookshelf within 50 miles of Stratford. Not a single book from the library of William Shakespeare was discovered. Neither were there found any letters to, from, or about Shakespeare. Furthermore, no references to the folklore, local sayings, or distinctive dialect of the Stratford area could be found in any of Shakespeare's writings. After 4 years of painstaking research, Dr. Wilmot concluded, to his own dismay, that only one person contemporary with Shakespeare of Stratford had ever demonstrated the wide-ranging education and expressive talent needed to compose those poems and plays. That man was the multilingual author, philosopher and statesman, inventor of the scientific method, chancellor to the courts of Queen Elizabeth and King James, Sir Francis Bacon. Dr. Wilmot never dared to publish his theory, but before he died, he confided it to a friend, James Cowell, who, in 1805, repeated it to a meeting of the Ipswich Philosophical Society. The members of the society were suitably outraged, and the scandalous matter was quickly forgotten. Then, in 1857, a lady from Stratford, Connecticut, published a book called The Philosophy of the Plays of Shakespeare Unfolded. In this book, Miss Delia Bacon, no relation to Francis, claimed that the works of Shakespeare were written by a secret cabal of British nobility, including Sir Walter Raleigh and Sir Philip Sidney, as well as Sir Francis Bacon. Delia Bacon's book electrified the world of letters. Battle lines were drawn between the orthodox Stratfordians and the heretical Baconians. Literary societies and scholarly journals were formed to debate the evidence. Hundreds of pamphlets, newspaper articles, and essays were published defending each side and ridiculing the opposition with that self-aggrandizing viciousness peculiar to tenured academics. Armed with her explosive book, Delia Bacon journeyed to Stratford-upon-Avon and, unbelievably, obtained official permission to open Shakespeare's grave. However, when the moment came to actually lift the stone, Delia's self-doubt precipitated a catastrophic nervous breakdown. She later died penniless in a madhouse. Around 1888, things began to get a bit out of hand. U.S. Congressman Ignatius Donnelly of Minnesota became interested in the Shakespeare controversy. One day, browsing through his facsimile copy of the First Folio of 1623, he noted that the word bacon appeared on page 53 of the Histories and also on page 53 of the Comedies. He also noted that Sir Francis Bacon had written extensively on the subject of cryptography. Donnelly began counting line and page numbers, adding and subtracting letters, drawing lines over sentences, circling words, and crossing them out. The result was a complex and virtually incomprehensible algorithm, which he claimed was invented by Bacon to hide messages inside the first folio. The greatest Easter egg hunt in the history of Western civilization had begun. Here are just a couple of the sillier highlights. A doctor named Orville Owen of Detroit constructed a bizarre research tool he called the Wheel of Fortune. This wheel consisted of 2 giant wooden spools wrapped with a strip of canvas 2 feet wide and 1,000 feet long. Onto this canvas, he glued the separate pages of the complete works of Bacon, Shakespeare, Marlowe, Greene, Peele, and Spencer, together with Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. By cranking the spools back and forth, Dr. Owen could quickly zip across the pages in search of clues and cross-references. Employing a large team of secretaries and stenographers, Owen claimed to have uncovered a complete alternative history of Elizabethan England, as well as several entirely new Shakespeare plays and sonnets. Listen to this hidden verse, supposedly penned by the mighty bard himself, which inspired Dr. Owen to build his Wheel of Fortune. Take your knife and cut all our books asunder, and set the leaves on a great firm wheel, which rolls and rolls, and turning the fickle rolling wheel, throw your eyes upon Fortune, that goddess blind, that stands upon a spherical stone, that turning and inconstant rolls in restless variation.
これ期限切れたら
After publishing 5 thick volumes of this rubbish,
なんだろう、どこに戻るん
Owen
だろう。
announced the discovery of an anagram, indicating that Bacon's original manuscripts were buried near Chepstow
Dasakuo.
Castle on the River Wye. Owen spent the next 15 years and thousands of dollars excavating the bed of the river with boat crews and high explosives. He died before anything was found. A fellow named Arnsberg wrote an entire book based on the analysis of the significance of a suspicious crack in the tomb of Bacon's mother. A ray of sanity finally
多少まとも
appeared
な。
in 1957. To those familiar with the science of cryptology, the name William Friedman needs
馴染みないな。
introduction. During World War II, Colonel Friedman was the head of the U.S. Army's Cryptoanalytic Bureau. He is credited with
そっちか。
cracking the Japanese Empire's most sensitive cipher. After the war, the colonel decided to apply his expertise to the study of the Shakespeare ciphers. He interviewed several of the
これあと何
experts
十
in
分
the
続くの？
field and prepared a detailed scientific analysis, which he published under the title The Shakespeare Ciphers Examined.
回帰日食完全にするまで続くと思うん
In
で
a
すけど
word, bunk. According to the standards of cryptologic science, not one of the hidden messages purportedly discovered in Shakespeare's works was plausible. The rules used to extract these messages from the texts were
多分に
non-rigorous,
主観的で
wildly subjective, and unrepeatable by anyone except the original decipherer. The people involved were not being dishonest. They were channeling their preconceptions. They were
そういう
trapped
こと
in
よくあ
a
るよね。
labyrinth of delusion, mining order from chaos. Anglers in a lake of darkness. Lear, Act 3, Scene 6. You would think that Friedman's cold and ruthless exposure would be enough to silence the heretics once and for all.
確かに確かに。
Not a chance. The books and TV specials and websites and conferences and doctoral dissertations keep right on coming. I should point out that the Shakespeare authorship issue is not only the preoccupation of cranks and weirdos. A substantial number of respected authors and Shakespeareans have
確
expressed
かに怪しい
serious
といえば怪
doubts
しいですから
about
ね。
the traditional origin of the plays.
根拠がないって
The
だけで。
list includes Nathaniel Hawthorne, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, Henry James, Sam Clemens, Sigmund Freud, Orson Welles, and Sir John Gielgud. Living
マーク・ト
skeptics
ウェイン以外
include
名
the
前も知らない。
artistic director of the New Globe Theatre, Mark Rylance, Michael York, Derek Jacobi, Kenneth Branagh, and even that most revered and scholarly of
キアヌ・リーブスは名
contemporary
前知ってる。
Shakespearean actors, Keanu Reeves. The current leading candidate for the authorship is Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, a theory first proposed in 1920 by an English schoolmaster with the unfortunate name J. Thomas Looney. What is it about Bach, the Bible, and the works of Shakespeare that inspires this intense scrutiny? Nobody's looking for acrostics in Chaucer or Keats.
あ、はい。はい。ごめんなさい。最後まで見れませんでした。悲しい。悲しいけど、はい。しょうがないね。シアターはまあ、いちいち紹介することでもないでしょう。ということにして、はい、じゃあ、トロフィー 100% っていう画面だけ見せて終わりにしましょう。ああ。本当は全部シアター見たかったけどね。あのシアター何分あんの？ 1 時間以上あるでしょ、これ絶対。まあ紹介しきれないってことで、はい、ごめんなさい。というわけで、じゃあまあ、 なんかだいぶね、締まらない終わり方になりましたけど。いや、いいゲームだった。うん、面白かった。すごく面白かった。まだやってない人はやってみてね。ということで、お疲れ様でした。